Hey, AfterBuzzers, thanks for joining us for another episode of Counterpart. Emily Prime and Emily Silk aren't really that much different. Stay tuned to find out.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
A little throwback of a older song.
Yeah.
Shake,
Never
rattle,
go wrong
and
with
roll.
a classic song,
You
right?
can't. And finally one to kind of uplift us in this dark, kind of gloomy show.
Yeah.
Just get a little uplifted. Shake, rattle, and roll. A couple of things in this.
Especially with all this confusion in
It
this
is.
episode.
Yes.
Oh my
I know,
gosh.
actually, we should shake or drop one of the two, but yes.
Something, maybe all three.
Right.
All right, guys, thank you for joining us. This is episode 5 of Counterpart on Starz, Shaking the Tree. And I'm Ashley Allen, your host, and you can find me on all social media at Ashley Reed Allen.
Welcome back, Counterpart AfterBuzzers. Again, I am Taquila. Come chat with me at Taquila_I am.
And quick shout out to Portia and Tehran. They
Yes.
could not join us today, but we're always thinking of them.
Of course.
Who knows, maybe they're counterparts.
In their own other worlds.
Yeah.
They'll
Who
be back
knows?
next week, hopefully, yes.
Yeah, we will see them next week. So, this episode started off with a bang, right?
It did. That's the part I said I want to shake or drop or one of the two because you get introduction, I guess, what we can call phase 2 to this contract that started with Baldwin.
Yeah.
I don't know. It kind of brought in a feeling that, for me, number one, Claire is an idol from wherever she came from, whatever side of the world. She is a boss. She's well known. So I thought she was not necessarily weak, but I thought she was more talk than action previously in our previous episode. So I was like, okay, but when what was her name? Ringleader came out and she was like, no, do you know who this is? And then she just poured her adoration of who Claire is onto her. I was like, oh, Claire's something serious then. I have to start looking at her differently now.
And I think we've all kind of given Claire those accolades, but it was this episode was pretty much confirmed that she's not just the little cute, Claire running around giving orders. Like she has a reputation out here.
She really does.
Like she's really someone.
Be aware.
Yeah. So these 3 people that we were introduced to in the first part of the episode, which they're called the children.
The children.
So pretty much what their duties are is they're raised and trained for this since they're kids, and they're brought over to the other side of the world to pretty much, they're being trained to do with what's about to happen. Clearly it doesn't look good because they don't really show any emotion.
None.
They move well as a unit, and they took this dude out before he even knew what was happening.
Yes. And I kind of felt like that was coming. You know how in the TV shows or in movies, they give you that suspense lead up to, and then it wasn't. I was like, darn, so what happened? Because I was confused at first if they were in the old apartment that Baldwin had lived in.
Okay.
And I actually thought they were coming to kill her since she didn't finish off the job, which,
Got it.
according to Claire, doesn't seem like that might happen yet. She said there's still some things that need to take place because one of the children was a little annoyed that these people are still alive. Like they're supposed to be dead by the time we come in. But I also like the part, I guess we play on what they're called the school and just levels that I hopefully will see because, you have your children. So I'm thinking what these are like the Tyler age just come in and just do whatever is minimal or whatever is needed because you have just that ability to do anything and you don't really have the emotion behind it to care about what you're doing. So hopefully we won't see that crossover as what happened to Baldwin. And then also too, I wonder if they actually have others. Hopefully we'll see eventually, but
Yeah, and if they're still alive, maybe.
That too, yes.
I think that even though we got confirmation that Claire, calls a lot of shots in this episode, her energy to me is really draining. She doesn't have that aura of a boss or someone who is calling the shots. She almost seems very sad. She seems confused. And I think that if she's going to be playing this role or in this role that she's in, she kind of needs to change her energy because she's lucky that one of the children actually knew who she were because the 2 men were kind of like, why they're questioning her.
Yes.
And she didn't even really do anything to stop them or correct them or anything. So I think going forward, if she is going to be the person in power and is going to be someone that people need to respect, she kind of needs to shift her energy. And I'm not exactly sure why her energy is the way it is.
Well, I initially thought she was just so melancholy because of the way she had to set up and change her relationship with Baldwin.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought that maybe that was the reason. But now when you say that it's just taking over episode after episode, I kind of agree with you too. But there, on the other hand, I also think that, you know, some people are more powerful in their silence and just the way they direct or the way they give actions. Because like she said before she left out, I forgot what she said with it in the bag, but like, these are your contents. This is your next job. And then she was ready to walk out and be done with it until the girl was like, but wait, I wanted to pour her adoration on there to her. So I think she's going to be one of those who are just, she's going to walk in silence in her power. She'll speak when needed. She'll make her orders and directives when needed. But most of the time, I think she's just going to be her power will be her silence.
Well, I think her body language is not doing that good of a job. And I completely agree. And I like how she conducts, you know, gives off her power. But it's just, you know, like I said, it's just she doesn't have that aura. You know, when someone walks in the room, you can just say, okay, that person is important. When she just walks in the room, it's not really, I don't look at her and say, okay, she's someone that I need to talk to.
Let me get attention. Let me hear to what she's saying.
And I don't know. I think maybe there's just a lot going on. I'm sure she has her own issues going on.
Yes. Like a Prime.
Yeah.
Like when he enters the room, you kind of, you know, you're at attention. You're waiting to see what he's going to say or do. So I understand where you're coming from. Yes.
Claire, come on. You got this, girl.
Right.
So let's move on to, we found out a lot of information in this episode. So we finally found out why the Prime side or the other side has all of these hand sanitation machines and they're always wearing these masks. We finally find out that it's due to a almost flu epidemic that happened and 7% of their world was wiped out.
Yes.
Which makes so much sense because I know every episode I've just been like, well, what the heck is going on? Why are they so hypersensitive about germs and whatnot? They don't shake hands, like nothing.
And like Silk said, or Howard said when he was out there, you don't see no socialization going on. And it's like, so what is the makeup of this other side? And then we have Emily Prime, who did explain to us about the flu epidemic, which was great. But yes, I'm with you in agreement.
Yeah, so I like that we finally got some background on that. And to go further along with that point, we find out that it's possible that the Howard side could have planted that flu on the other side to get rid of them. Did you catch that?
I did catch that, yes.
I thought that was very interesting.
I thought so too, because again, just in this crazy show, I feel lost 90% of the time watching it, right? So I thought that Prime's world was, well, when they split apart, I thought Prime's world was the dominant world or the dominant side. So when they said that they think the epidemic came from Silk's side, I was surprised because I feel like the people on Silk's or Howard's side of the other side aren't as, I don't know what the word is. They're not as aggressive. They're not as evil or strategic in their thinking to try to take away another world. So that's why I was confused too. I was like, or not necessarily confused. It just was like an epiphany, like, oh, okay, so they did come from that side. So we get a little more into just their dislike from each other or from each side. So I thought that was pretty neat. Yeah.
And of course, it gives us a background into what these two worlds have been going through separately, what they've been going through with each other, and why they're, again, it also explains why the crossover process to get from one world to another is so strict. It's so serious.
Right.
And it just, that little small piece in this episode really gave us a lot of insight onto the bigger picture between the two worlds.
And also too, I like it because I can piece together the tug of war between the two sides and why one side wants to be more inferior than the other, which is going to be in the play this whole series, and to see what more is revealed at the end of the time. But just the coming together from all of that works finally amazing in my head, and I can try to start piecing together other pieces of the show.
Yeah. Yeah. So, to one of my other favorite reveals of this episode, Emily Prime and Emily Silk.
Yes.
We definitely learned that they are not that much different.
Not at all. I'm so glad you opened with that. Not at all.
Not that much different. It was a shock, but at the same time, it wasn't. I feel like it was almost a little more disappointing than a shock. Because I wanted Howard's Prime to be the good one so bad because I love him and he's so nice. I do want him to get
a win, like at some point in life.
He's been taking all these L's and I just wanted something to go right for him. But it looks like she is not that much different.
No. I'm with you on that too. I feel like I just was in the opening act where Prime is as Silk and he's going to visit Emily, but he meets the guy he plays the board game with. Do you remember what you said it was called? Hex. And he calls him out and they play, and just the belittlement of the guy who's playing with, like, oh, you've been studying, after 2 months you finally might win. And then Prime, which I'm so proud he took himself out of that, made a Howard move and lost the game.
Right.
But I was just like, dang, does anybody in Howard's world or life encourage him, inspire him, uplift him? He is constantly beaten down and belittled. So it was a shock to me because through his eyes, you would think his Emily is faithful, kind, supportive, uplifting. Yes. And not to say that she may not be an angel, but just not the angel that I was thinking, not the kind that I would portray.
Yeah.
So I love this episode for that reason. We got to see a little bit more of both Emilys.
Yeah. But I also think that the beauty in finding out the so-called dirt of Emily Silk is it almost humanizes her. Because, again, because she's been in this coma, we only know her through Howard's eyes.
Right.
And as he's painted her, she's just this wonderful woman, and she would only almost match him.
Yes.
And I liked that we got to see that she has another life and she's not really that person that Howard is thinking.
Right.
Which also brings another conclusion, is that we see that not only the two Emilys, but all of the different counterparts that we were able to experience in this episode, all of them are actually not that much different from each other.
Very true.
We see the two Howards. Man, they both went through it on both sides of the world.
They did.
In this episode. We meet a new character, Alice.
Yes.
And she is actually living with her counterpart.
And sharing a
husband. That was very weird. It's like a three-way marriage situation going on.
And I don't know if I like, because you see the first Allison, she's talking to Quayle and Aldridge.
Yeah.
And then she tells her husband, check the roast. He always cooks it too much.
Yeah.
And then we see the other wife, or the other Allison, come in, and she says the same thing. So I understand. We know they're each other's other.
Yeah.
But I don't want them to be repeating everything that says already. Like, make her bring another perspective. If they're going to be more involved in the show and we'll see more of them, I kind of want to see, we see how they're like, but I want to see their differences now.
I think that the reason that they did that in this episode in particular is to show that, it's to really drive that point home that no matter what world you come from, you guys are still the same. Even though you've had different experiences and you may like communicate things differently, at the end of the day, you guys are still the same person. Because in past episodes, when we have seen like Prime and Howard together, they do things similar, but not the exact same. And I feel like that was one of the points that they were trying to make in this episode, that you guys really aren't that much different.
I mean, that's just like general life too. We are all a human being, and we all have emotions, and we all are scarred, and we all bleed red, but you know, sometimes we forget that as people. So that's actually a good point. I didn't think about it in that view, that no matter who you are, even if you have a twin in you know, real life and not, you still are, there's some similarities between everyone, but you still are unique in your own fashion too. So
and then she also tells us that she's when she came over from the other world, she let Aldridge know that there was some type of situation going on, and him and his people pretty much swept it under the rug.
Right.
And now it's coming back to bite all of them. And I mean, here we are.
Well, what feeling do you get from Aldrich?
I don't know.
Do
I don't trust him.
Okay.
He looked sick in this episode for whatever
Oh,
reason.
really?
Yeah, I don't know if it was because he was under pressure or what. He just looked a little different in this episode.
I don't think I'm with you on that one. I don't trust him. I don't think he's loyal. I think he knew about this.
Yeah.
So he's letting Quail in because I don't think he trusts Quail either because he wanted Quail's position or Quail got it because he is the husband to the director's wife. So I think that's kind of like their tug of war and their professionalism. But I felt like when they were driving to the house, I thought we were going to see his other. I was waiting for that husband and I was staring at him when he came in real hard too. Like, I think that's going to be Aldrich. Sorry that didn't happen. Yeah. But I think he already knew about all of this. Yeah. And for whatever reason, now he's trying to, I think he's trying to just to save his behind and still make sure that the trust between him and Quail is there. But I don't think Quail believes him or trusts him either. No. So I can't wait to see what unfolds and what he's actually, how much he's intertwined, just like the Pope, how much he knows about both sides and everything that's going on. So,
well, if you think about it, he only revealed Alice because he had to.
Exactly.
He set up the house. They have guards. They have a whole setup there that he's known about for how long, and you're just now telling Quail. So I don't think that Aldrich I don't think he's the mole. Yeah. But he definitely knows way more information than I felt he even knew.
I'm in agreement.
He's just now coming forth with, and I don't like that at all because you could have. I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot that could have been prevented or a lot of information that could have been used before now, but for whatever reason you've been holding on to that. And I also thought it was weird. Does he live at the office?
I think he just went back to try and search himself to see who this shadow person is.
Well, he had slippers. He had like a pull-out bed.
I did see that. So I don't know. Maybe he just one of them businessmen that, long hours, late nights, and you just have to kind of crash at your office for a minute. Okay. But I would hope not. But I just, if from the paper he had and he was circling names and going through that, I just thought maybe he was just trying to really find out and dig into who this mole is or who this shadow person could be.
Okay. Good point. So let's talk about Howard finally running into Pope, which I really thought was interesting. Pope is something else.
He is.
He is very convincing. You don't know whether to believe him or not. He read Howard. Of course, he's too smart. He already knew that wasn't Prime. And I was just like, Howard, shut up. Like, stop answering all this man's questions. Like, just sit there in silence if you have to, or get up and walk away. But he was just giving him too much information.
Well, I think it's also, too, because of his naivety. Yeah. And he's trying to find out what his truth is or what the truth is of going on. Again, we know that his ultimate mission is trying to figure out who could have wanted to kill his wife and why. So I felt like you at first too, like, stop talking, stop saying so much, because we know Pope is of Prime's world. Pope has this school going on that's going to be a third world, and they're just going to be killers. So we don't know what angle Pope probably will ever really play. But then I also too want to know, now that we get a bit of Emily Silk, how far she was into this, because her and Prime been sending letters for forever. Yeah. And now we see she has a Ian, but what is his name? Andre. And so I want Silk to get a win, and I want him to get a win off of the truth and not what people are feeding to him. So
well, he's doing the right thing by asking questions. I just think that he's asking the wrong people questions. But at the same time, he doesn't know who to trust or who to ask questions to. So I don't know. I just
think he's getting ping pong too, because you hear this and Pope tells him not to trust Emily Prime, and then Emily Prime is like, okay, so that's weird coming from him, because he's the one that tried to kill me. And then now you see how she acts in her position when they went to Edgar the courier to find out the address and lead in. So I feel like you have to ask the wrong people first to get it right, because that's all that's around him at this point. So he has to find his answer some way.
the mistakes are going to lead you to the answers.
I hope so. I really do hope they will.
Yeah. I really kind of enjoyed seeing Emily Prime in her role. We've always known she's inspired or has been part of the company, but we really got to see her in action today. It was a little scary, I feel like. And poor Howard didn't know what to do when I don't know, it's just something about her tone, her calmness was pretty frightening, I feel like.
It's like that quote where you take my weakness for a kindness, and it just surprises you when that line in you comes out.
Yeah.
And like she said, you see he's over there quiet because he was literally scared. He didn't know what to say or what to do. And I feel like at the moment, I don't know if she took a breath because she scared herself almost for a second. Like she probably was really going to shoot him, but had to control herself from doing that in front of Silk.
Yeah.
Or if she just forgot how long it's been since she's been back in the strategy team and how to conduct herself.
Yeah.
But she's definitely one to keep an eye on. And I don't know, is her position higher than, or if they even rate it, higher than Prime's?
I don't believe so.
Okay. But yeah, so I think that Silk got to see her in action too. And I hope it's more of, like she said, opening his eyes to who she is and not his Emily.
Yeah. And she definitely reminded him that I'm not your Emily, you know. Don't let all of this confuse you. Don't let your emotions take over, because at the end of the day, you're not my husband. I'm not your wife. And I'm glad she reminded him of that.
But was she reminding herself also?
Well, that's a good point. It could be both.
Yes.
Could be both.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but when you were just saying that, and I'm picturing them in their mind, I feel like, too, she's kind of trying to make herself aligned in the sand to where she can't cross as well.
Yeah.
Because of the opposites we've seen in both the relationships. Silk is probably the Howard she would want to be with and want to be in love with. And on the other side, maybe through these letters too, that Emily is probably the one that should be with Prime. And even when Prime came back from Andre's house and found out that he's actually a civilian and not from either side, I was surprised at the emotion and the little bit of, not necessarily anger, but that he was upset and annoyed with her a little bit. He was pissed that sorry, am I going ahead too far?
No.
Okay.
I wasn't surprised at his emotion at all.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, Prime has already gone through a struggle or a situation with Emily betraying his trust. So the sad part for Prime is he's having to relive this again, because he's had all of these high expectations for the other Emily that he's been communicating with through letters. So he's sitting here and looking down on his Emily, where the other Emily that he set all these high expectations for really is no better.
See, and that's the only reason why I thought differently, is because he's been through that with his Emily. And now, because of, like you just said, how Silk also regards his Emily in higher standard, and he didn't really know her other life.
Right.
But then again, to find out you're with someone, you've been together, I think he said 10 months, Andre was saying.
Yeah.
And
his name is Michael.
His name is Michael?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know where I got Andre from. But okay, Michael. Where he said they've been together for 10 months. I kind of felt like that was a dagger in his heart, but I felt like you've already been through this with your Emily. Again, your lives aren't that different. And so why are you that mad again? But now, where you said because of the letters, and maybe he did have high standards for Emily Silk as well, I can see that too. Yeah.
And I think it's very easy to put expectations on people that you don't really know that well. Again, he only knows her through their communications through letters.
Right.
And he's, again, just like the other Howard and the other Emily, they're all almost putting what they wish the other person was on the other side.
That goes to the question someone asked. It was about love.
Howard asked Emily Prime, do you think it's possible to truly love someone if we don't really know who they are?
Yeah. So that's where I think that goes to. And before she answered, her answer was, she thinks it's, just seeing them from a point of view from who they are or who they would rather be rather than who they are.
Yeah.
So I thought,
she said, maybe we don't love someone for who they are, but who they rather be.
Yeah. So I thought that was a great point too, which is true. And which, again, could also just be your perception and how you see from your eye and your point of who this person is. It's just like the images we conjure of people, period, regardless if we love them or if we just see them from afar or we see them in their own world operating in work or as a mother, father, politician, whoever.
Yeah.
It's just what we conjured in our minds about that person. So I feel like that was a true point. But again, I just don't want Silk to get caught up in that. Like, he needs a win. He needs a win so bad.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Do you think that not only applies to someone that we are in love with, but don't you think that can apply to ourselves?
Oh, definitely.
We always try to put on this front or be this person that we know we should be or that we want to be, but is that the person that we really are?
What I think of is the person you're trying to become. It may not be the person who you are now, but you see different characteristics portrayed in other people, so you want to attach to that rather than being a hater.
Right.
You want to be it in kindness and in love. So then this is how you want to give off yourself to the world or to people, because those are the characteristics and the whatever level of maturation you want to possess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see it in that way. I don't think it's a fallacy or a deception that we're telling ourselves or even others. I just think, again, we want to grow into whatever characteristic that may be.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how I took that it's not only about a love situation romantically, but I'll use Prime for example. The Pope told us, he made Prime the way he is after what Emily pretty much put him through.
Right.
So this Prime, this toughness, this macho man that Prime is showing us, is that really who he is, or is that an act not an act, but is that what he wants us to think of him? Is that what he's portraying? But how do we know that is that really who he is deep down inside? Take away all of his experiences, the hurt, the pain, everything. Is that really who he is? And does that make him any better than Howard Silk?
No, I don't think so, definitely. I think that is at this point, from the separation between the two Howards, that it is who he is. And I think the other side of that is Silk.
Yeah.
So I think that's where like the juxtaposition comes from, the two of them being alike but opposite. But also when we see them in each other's footsteps, you also see the differences in how they're pulling from each side of, because they know they have an other side now, they're pulling from one another in that aspect.
Yeah. So I mean, sorry, the two Howards, they both took L's. They both were really very disappointed and hurt by their two Emilys. And I must say, Michael, the guy that Emily Silk was dealing with, I was very disappointed that this entire time it's one thing for Emily to betray Howard, but this guy has been sitting in your face every day. You guys drink coffee every morning, and you've been sleeping with his wife.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother level.
And I don't know if Prime was shocked in that moment.
Yeah.
Because again, he really did. He was like, "Oh, you're a civilian." He thought he was from one side or the other. But then also, I kind of wanted him to react as Prime and not how Silk was too, because you've been lying for 10 months. You've been in love with someone else. Yeah. And I think because of what he went through with his Emily, it was easier for him to understand, like, okay, and ask these questions. Do you love her? Yeah. And already know that, okay, because she loves you. And then it just also, to me, put in the perspective of Silk and how his mundane, ordinary life and what he thinks is perfect is not. Yeah. Or at least may not be the Emily when she wakes up and tells us that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you think Prime is going to continue to visit Emily Silk? Because after he gave his speech and, pretty much told her how disappointed he is in her, it almost seemed like that was a goodbye.
It did, didn't it? Yes, I agree with you on that one. But no, I think he has to, because he has to keep up routine. Okay. What the meetings will be about. Maybe he'll just start going back to read the book that Silk was reading her, because no more communication, or because he's hurt, disappointed, or what he found out. I don't know. But I think he still will continue to read her. He has to, because his visa is no longer valid, and they can't find out what's going on both sides. That could create more trouble too soon. So he'll still continue to visit her.
Okay. What do you think is going to happen with Howard and Anna? We saw that he invited her over to the apartment and is really just trying to take the chance to get to know her. And my heart broke him just tearing up and just say, I won't say anything. Just let's pretend that I'm not the father who neglected you and who wasn't there for you. What do you think is going to happen in that relationship?
I felt like I don't think it's going to end good, number one. So I feel like when he was apologizing to his Anna for not being here, how they couldn't protect her and keep her alive, or she had a miscarriage. But then on the other side too, because of that, that's the pull in his heart that he wants to know his Anna. And at some point they're going to have to change back. So she's going to get Prime as a dad back, and it's going to just explode all over again because she's been with Silk, who's more open and honest and loving and caring. And she's torn, and you can see her with the questions she was asking, like, just tell me what this end game is so I can understand and I can still leave you alone and you can leave me alone. But Silk's still pulling at her heart as well too, because she wants her dad. So I don't think it's going to end well for either of them. How it's going to end, to be continued. To be determined.
A small part of me wants Howard to tell her that he's not her dad.
Well, for what outcome?
I don't know. I don't know. Because I just want, I don't know if it's because of my own selfish reasons, because at the end of the day, her knowing and her not knowing is not going to do her any good.
Very true.
But I don't know. Maybe for Howard's feelings.
Do you think she would? Do you think she knows about both sides?
No, she does. She seems like she has no idea.
So do you think that will cause more trouble if he did tell her? Because I can understand that too. You kind of tell her so that she knows some truth and she can open up to you more because now you're being honest. But then, like, my first thought would be like, well, how do you look so much like my father? Now I know it's a difference because you're not actually him, but then where did this? So all of those questions that might open up. I understand where you said it's just that little part in you too. I do.
Piece. Yeah. It's just because I just want to hug Howard. Like, I just want to put your head on my shoulder. He just needs love.
He does.
He needs love and peace. Oh,
yes,
gosh.
he really does. I'm with you on that.
Because everyone at this point that he trusts and love has betrayed him. Not that it's not that many people to begin with, but the few people that he does have.
And also too, when he was saying, he's made some mistakes, and again, I don't know if he was just winging it as Prime, trying to smooth things over with Anna so she wouldn't leave and they can actually talk and have a conversation. Or if he was actually just telling us a little bit of his past that we haven't seen yet.
I think it was a little
because
bit of both.
I feel like now, from how we've seen everyone's other, there's something in the past that has happened or that they've done that's drastic, and hopefully we'll see that too.
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that we've learned a little bit about Emily Silk and how she's not that perfect, I'm sure there's some information about Howard Silk that we will, of course, discover in later episodes on what he's been through. I'm sure he hasn't been an angel this entire time, so there's so much more to learn.
I'm ready for Emily to wake up, though. I'm ready for her to wake up now.
I'm ready for her to wake up and face the music.
I am.
Explain yourself, Emily.
Tell us your side. Tell us just everything. Tell it to Silk. Again, like I said previously, I'm one of those people that I don't have the patience in letting it play out. So I want to know next Sunday.
But I'm not ready for Howard Silk's heart to be broken again. When he finds out, I might be ready to throw some bones.
Yeah, see, I'm ready for it because I want it to all be done so he can just be broke and then build himself back up, whichever way or by any means that is going to happen. But I don't like him being in the dark, and all of these things that he thinks is true is not really 100% true.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Quick question.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask again. I know last week we talked about who the mole might be. My answer this week is totally different from last week.
Okay.
Do you still think that the mole hasn't been
revealed? I still believe so.
Okay.
I still believe so. But yours? Who did you say last week? Do you remember?
Last week I said it could probably be Quail.
Oh, okay.
And it changed this week because one of the children, when she was talking about who Claire was, she said something like, she talks about you all the time.
Right.
So that made me think, okay, do they know the mole? If they do know the mole, is the mole a woman? And then I'm thinking, okay, I'm sure the mole isn't someone that's right in our face, someone that's obvious. So if I had to pick a name, I think that the mole could be Quayle's father-in-law.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think it's someone not super obvious. But again, we'll find out.
Yes, we will.
So let's get into some predictions really quickly.
Definitely.
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I always want to say pay attention. I'm sorry. So you go first, I go first?
You can go first.
Okay. What I think, I don't know if it's just me wanting this to happen so bad too, but I think Emily's going to wake up next Sunday. In the next episode 6, she's going to wake up, and she's going to come to some type of level of consciousness. And that's going to bridge the gap between her and Prime. We'll find out about those letters a little bit, maybe from her point of view. That would be great. But I think it'll be a crossover with both of the Emilys in the Prime. So Emily Silk and Prime, and then Howard and Emily Prime, to where they're going to start, I don't want to say lives together, but they're going to start helping each other out. I think last week I said that Prime wasn't going to be over in the world too much longer, on the wrong side or the other side, because of just everything that has to go into it and keeping up with. But I think now that Silk's not going to want to come back, because him and Emily are going to be involved in trying to figure out who actually wants to kill Emily, because that's her ultimate goal as well. So that's just one of my predictions so far this week.
Okay. I predict that Baldwin and the children will meet at some point next episode and maybe have some type of shootout, some sort of situation. I don't believe that they know who the assassin is and that she would be the assassin, but I'm pretty sure that based on body language and how they move, you can spot someone who's of your own or from your world. I also think that something's gonna happen with Claire. I don't know why, but something bad.
Okay.
Something bad is going to happen with her. And I'm excited to see Howard and Emily Prime continue to work together.
I think now that you mentioned Ball, that was the second part that I couldn't think of at first for my predictions. She and this bartender are going to have some type of relationship. I'm thinking at this moment, or at least this just how we seen her operate a little, but how we seen her move in this episode, she's not as much on guard as I think she should be. Yeah. I think she thinks maybe she's a little cleared because she killed the guy that Claire set her up with and came in and was supposedly kill her. But I think because she's not up to par and being mindful of what she's doing and where she's going, that's going to be her downfall.
Yeah. Well, Baldwin, everyone needs to get it together.
Yeah, they really do.
There was a lot of stuff that happened this episode, but it was a great episode. I really loved it. So thank you guys for joining us for another episode 5 of Counterpart on Starz. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe. And I am Ashley Allen, your host, and you can find me on all social media at Ashley Reed Allen.
Thanks for tuning in again. We'll be at the same place, same time next Sunday. Again, I am Taquila. You can follow me at Taquila_I am.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys next week.
See you next Sunday.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.